Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we check out Overly Sarcastic Productions' Purgatorio from Dante's Inferno. I have seen their previous parts for both the Inferno and Purgatory, and I think I have a really good idea we're going into on the Heaven section of this trilogy. Probably fridge horror, because if there's one thing that scarred me for life, it was that somehow Purgatory was worse than Hell, because they had the realm of the eyes stitched shut. Yeah. That was a thing. I think Red's reaction there, the very understated screaming for your life as if someone's about to axe murder you with a rusty spoon, was the honestly, perfectly rational and sane reaction to that. It freaks me out a bit. More importantly, there's a link below to the original video. Hit it up and let's see if this can get somehow creepier, even though it's heaven.
When last we left our intrepid adventurers, Dante and his dead girlfriend had just witnessed some really trippy symbolism-laden nonsense, and it subsequently
that nobody
ascended to
understands.
heaven, like you do.
At least I don't.
Dante starts us off by telling us that God sheds light everywhere, but mostly in heaven, which is where he is right now. This is...
Wait, where is it? Oh, she has sunglasses. You are here, heaven. Everything else, God, presumably. And then there's hell, which is all dark, and the furthest point away was the lowest circle, yeah.
This is, incidentally, why heaven is bright. Like, really bright.
You'll be needing this. Oh my God. It's literally just her going, nope. Time to put on the aviators. I hate how much this is actually something I'm jealous of, so I could just glare at people while putting on aviators and crossing my arms going, yeah, I could pretend to be cool now. I'm wrong, but I can pretend.
Take note of this brightness, as it is something of a theme in this book. So, fun fact, when Dante says heaven,
he's gonna say that
he basically means space. I understand the confusion, they're both up from the perspective of Earth, so they leave Earth behind and Beatrice...
Wait, did that say... Are they... Oh my God, they're just Supermaning it. Onwards! No! Away! She's even doing the Superman pose with the one hand out. Oh my... Yeah, Red knew what they were doing. I'm assuming at the end they just are circling around the Earth backwards to turn back time. If you get that reference, it's not a bad movie. It's not a good movie, but it's not a bad movie.
Beatrice starts him on a guided tour of the celestial spheres. That is, the 14th century model of the solar system, which looks something...
Oh yeah, geocentric! Because they thought the Earth was the center of everything and the sun was one of the planets orbiting around it, essentially. Functionally, and how it worked.
Like this. And here's something for your literary analysis. Motion is a huge theme in the Divine Comedy. In Hell, nothing ever changes, while in Purgatory, upward motion is the single goal. But in Heaven, time is everything always forever, and it's full of spirits buzzing around like 10-year-olds jacked up on pixie sticks. So anyway, the first planet they...
That is the absolute most terrifying description you could have possibly given me, Red. That is... No, 10-year-olds on pixie sticks. I have plenty of nieces and nephews. That is terrifying. Oh God.
They go to is the moon, which isn't a planet. And Beatrice is like, look, Dante, everything the light touches is God's kingdom. And
it's
Dante's
empty.
like, what about that shadowy place? And Beatrice is like, oh, it's fascinating, actually. It's not darker because it's farther away. Light's a funny thing, see?
What? Also, one, I love the art just pulling out
Farther
the
away.
glasses.
Light's a funny thing, see?
I just want to see what they're writing here. How are we different and all breathing? How are we breathing?
And in conclusion, it's dark because God said so. So anyway, the spirits of the dead that get to hang out on the moon are those who were inconstant, just like the moon. Oh yeah, that crazy moon. Always orbiting the Earth in that unpredictable elliptical pattern while the sun's light reaches it at an increasing angle in relation to the Earth, consequently leading to its regularly changing phases.
I mean, who could ever predict that? That's just insane.
It's so crazy. You never know what it's gonna do next. So Dante chats with this lady, Picarda, who's glowing so much he's having trouble recognizing her.
You were friends with my brother! And he's just got his eyes melting. Oh my God.
And she talks about how when she was alive, she was a nun who was taken from her convent. It's cool, though. She gets to chill on the moon forever. So that's good. Next.
Bye, guys. And it's just the magic school bus. A field trip with Beatrice? No way! I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
On this episode of the Magic School Bus is our tour of Mercury. Now, Mercury's pretty close to the sun, which means it's, surprise, surprise, too bright to see. So Dante gets to chill with all the heaven...
Who said that? Hey, Dante! And this is also how he gets out describing heaven, because he can't see anything. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm describing heaven, but also don't look too close because I can't actually tell you that you're wrong.
Found souls who were a little too ambitious when they were alive. I'd say it's because they flew too close to the sun. But it's actually
No. Red? I'm not going to say your puns got better because they never did, but this just hurts so hard, man. Also, it kind of sounds like these are all punishments. It's like, congratulations, you were inconstant, so you weren't good enough to decide anything. So we're going to give you the exact same punishment as the beginning of the Inferno, where someone is just not allowed to do anything. You're not being chased by bees, so take that as a point of improvement? Let's go with improvement.
because the glory they earned on Earth pales in significance to the glory of God, just like Mercury pales next to the sun because it's too goddamn bright. Dante also hangs out with Emperor Justinian, who's a guy? Some 5th century Byzantine emperor, I guess.
Eh? You have to know me. I built the Hagia Sophia. Oh, he built the Hagia Sophia. Oh, that's actually kind of fascinating. I wonder if Blue did a video on him.
Part of what makes these texts difficult to read nowadays is that Dante gave cameos to all his pals and favorite historical figures, only a few of whom we still actually care about today. And so the sands of time wear down on us all. But who cares? Certainly not us. Dante's.
She's still doing the school bus. Is that going to be the motif for the entire thing? I hope so. Also, this is what she says is one thing that I don't really agree with. Not caring about all his favorite historical figures or all the pals he has, because functionally, no. If you're reading this for entertainment or just because you're curious, you're not going to get shit out of this. And I completely agree on that end. On the more, ooh, this is really cool, this person existed and they did this aspect, reading it for context of what was happening around the same time and how someone would view it, not so much for the story itself, but for how he would interpret it, his timeline. That's really fascinating because it's another point of reference to see all these other things that he knows about that we can now correlate to things we know about to say, oh yeah, this happened at this time because we have these records, and also someone else making a contemporaneous note in the novel they wrote over here, which while it's being taken way out of context considering they say they were finding it in hell or heaven or paradise or purgatory, whatever, that just means that we have another reference that in this time period they were someone who was known. This is actually fascinating to me, what would be someone who is known at this time. It's completely the wrong way to look at this, but I'm fine with being wrong because I do it frequently.
Is off to Venus. And to his credit, Dante gets one thing right about Venus. It's very cloudy, but these are nice.
Wait, what did that say? Do I comment on your complexion? What? This is something my wife would probably be able to answer, but I don't get what a cloudy complexion means.
Are nice, sedate, cool clouds that don't rain acid down on the barren hellscape below. No, this Venus is where the lovers go. It's lovely, peaceful, devoid of greenhouse gases and acid lakes, and, surprise, surprise, extremely bright. Anyway, Dante talks to this troubadour who takes the opportunity to take a big old dump on...
Man, Florence is just the worst, right? I don't know, the cardinal's pretty nice. Oh, cathedral, yeah.
Florence, blaming it for everything wrong with the clergy. For those keeping score, that's so far a handful of popes and one major city that Dante's blaming for the sorry state of the church. On to the fourth heaven, which is...
And if I remember anything from Blue's videos on the popes, it was a lot of things, but Florence was one of the major players in that entire pile of... You know, there's really no safe way to say. Let's just go with excrement. It's just easier that way. Florence, Rome. Florence and Rome. Sometimes Venice, but mostly Florence and Rome were like the two major players who always kept bitching at each other, at least within Italy. And then you brought in everyone around them and the minor players around those guys. And politics. Politics, religion, and power dynamics that are all bullshit. And every now and again, random popes who are chill but also competent and kind of threw everyone else off because of it.
The sun? What?
The sun is a planet.
Why is this path so inefficient? If you were already in Mercury, why the hell would you go to Venus before you went to the sun? Even the magic school bus visited the planets in order, and they did that in a bus. Anyway, the sun is...
I'm sorry, I want to see that again. Just the absolute vampire
Even
red.
the magic school bus visited the planets in order, and they did that in a bus.
Okay, she's giving her art so much more specific emotion here, where in the later ones, she still has way more detail, but they're way more dynamic here. I think this is one of the things that she kind of simplified, so she has fewer individual character animations and more reused ones, but they look better. On the other hand, you can still see it's definitely her style. Just more like little lines right here where you could see it was erased and kind of corrected. It's not bad, though, and you can see a lot more just the absolute rage.
Anyway, the sun is bright, no kidding. Dante
Yeah.
takes a moment to appreciate the craftsmanship
Killing me
before being
instantly.
surrounded by 12 glowy spheres, each the soul of an extremely wise dude. And then they move on to Mars.
Wait, what? Extremely wise dude?
Before being surrounded by 12 glowy spheres, each the soul of an extremely wise dude.
Albert of Cologne, Gratian, Peter Lombard, King Solomon, Seeger of Brabant, Thomas of Aquinas, Venerable the Bede, Richard of St. Victor, St. Isidore, Boethius, Paulorius, and Dionysius. A different one. I'm going to go with my initial statement of this all seems like fridge horror. Being a empty embodiment of a soul floating on the sun seems kind of more like a torture. Like, literally, the only difference between this and some of the places he showed in hell were that in hell, you just got a body to be tortured with. Here, you just exist in hellfire. Sorry, solar fire.
Dude. And then they move on to Mars. Finally, jeez. Anyway, Mars is bright red and full of warriors of the faith, people who died for God. Hey, I wonder if that means Jesus is here.
What?
I'm sure he's got a special share somewhere. Anyway, all the glowing souls on Mars.
Oh, yeah, died for God as opposed, but it wasn't a warrior. That's what threw me off there. She even put a little blasphemy mark in there as well. Nice.
Mars are assembled in the shape of a Greek cross, which Google Images tells me is basically a plus sign trying to be an individual. Dante compares.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's why the Templars wore it. I wonder why it became a Greek cross as opposed to the cross, specifically the device used to kill people in a torturous, extremely painful, and very, very unpleasant way. Yeah. It's like the symbol being a noose. It really is kind of fucked up when you think about it.
Here's the cross to the Milky Way, which tells me that he's either never looked up at the sky or he's finally been blinded by all the guns.
You thought the Milky Way was a cross? But doesn't... That's not space. Space doesn't look anything like that. So majestic. This is not even a matter of him making things up, and I'm agreeing with Red on this one. He just didn't look up. If you're ever in a place where it's dark enough for you to see the Milky Way, which admittedly is really fucking hard right now because the light pollution from most places where you are going to live is nearly all present. Even when you get into the country, it's still close enough to a city that it can eclipse a good portion of the sky. So unless you're in some place where the closest idea to civilization is literally maybe something a beaver put on a dam, not actually the beaver dam itself, but maybe the beaver getting into a little experimentalism and adding something to the top just to give it a little pizzazz, like flowers or moss or droppings. Either one of those, that would be the equivalent of high culture in that area. Then you might be able to see the Milky Way at this point. It's actually really fascinating and really cool looking, especially if you have cameras that can really up the light intake to really hyper saturate the picture so you can see it better. And I'm sorry, astronomy is something I geek out over, and it's really cool. It doesn't look like a cross. It's called the Milky Way because it looks like a way through the sky of a glowing, pale, milky substance. That is really disturbing when I say it that way. But it's really cool looking. You can see individual points of light, but they all blur together, and there's so much overlap. It's just... Sorry, space is cool. I geek out over this.
Goddamn lens flare. Anyway, Dante runs into an ancestor of his with an unpronounceable name who tells...
What the... I want to see if I can do this one. Casiaguda? Guida? Casiaguda? Casquiada? Ugh. Casquiada. Casquida? No, there's an A there. Caxiguida. Caxiguida? Caxiguida? I'm probably butchering this for anyone who actually speaks Italian. Granted, for anyone who speaks any language, I probably butcher everything, so it doesn't really change anything.
Who tells him to write all this
I hope you're taking notes. Sure thing, Grandpa. Don't burn me with your giant flamingness.
Stuff down. He also bumps into Judah Maccabee.
Yo.
For those of you unfamiliar, he's relevant to the story of Hanukkah, along with Charlemagne and a few others. Then it's on to Jupiter, and here's where it starts to get weird.
It wasn't weird already? Oh, this is gonna be interesting.
So, first of all, as soon as Dante and Beatrice get there, the souls start putting on a living fireworks display and spell out the Latin words, these things...
Diligent Justinian, qui judista, or judicatus terran. I know terran would be a reference to Earth, but I got no idea the rest.
Anyway, they mean something like, love, peace, you who judges the Earth. So the last M hangs around while the...
Well, that was fun. We shall flash mob more often. See you later.
other souls scatter, and then it gets really big and bright, and apparently stands for Monarcha, aka Monarch, aka Jesus. Pro tip, when analyzing Paradiso.
What? So Jesus had a cameo of the letter M. What? That's me! I thought that was a hat at first. It's the halo.
Pro tip, when analyzing Paradiso, everything is Jesus. Anyway, then the M turns into a giant eagle, which Dante chats with for a while. It is...
So is he talking to Jesus or a bunch of souls? Or is it just an eagle? Or what? Hey, down there.
Is exactly as weird as it sounds. Also, the eagle is probably Jesus. So they move on to Saturn, which is really bright. It's where the contemplatives end up, which is interesting because you'd think it'd be pretty hard to think, let alone hold a conversation, on a planet composed entirely of screamingly fast and poisonous winds. Dante chats with another soul.
Oh, it's even crazier. They found out since, let's see, this was 8 years ago. I think since then, it either came out, was discovered, or became more commonly known in writing that not only is it screaming poisonous winds, the pressure is so crazy that it's theorized that it literally has diamonds, pieces of carbon that aren't, able to form a planetary core, or might exist at the very lowest level for all we know, because you can't get down that deep, that there would be the pressure of the air itself, or what the equivalent of air on Jupiter would be, to compress everything, pulled up and kept circulating by the winds, the constant storms that are the entire planet's surface. Surface being a loose term for just how deep into the wind you get, would be just thick or dense enough that the pressure of the gravity alone from the planet would compress things into diamonds that would then be pulled around in the wind because there's so much momentum. So you are literally looking not just at a dust storm, a diamond storm. Yeah. Diamonds might be a girl's best friend, but if you throw a couple million of them at, I think it was 300 plus kilometers per hour. I have no idea what that is in miles, and I'm probably wrong about the distance, but I know it's more than that, so it's probably accurate. In the sense that saying faster than nothing is technically correct. That would be how fast you're going to get. It's probably going to hurt. I mean, also, you'd be crushed at that point, but details. Yeah, space is weird and fun. I'm a huge fan. Oh, she's fixing her hair because of the wind.
And Beatrice somehow manages to become even prettier. It's symbolic of their ascension closer to God. This is also why the spheres keep getting brighter. Anyway, they climb up this golden ladder, Jacob's ladder apparently, and ascend into the 8th.
But I thought Jacob's Jacob ladder in parlance is an idea that you climb up it, fall down, but you just have a step closer, and then you climb up, you fall down, but you're a little closer each time you fall down. So it's a progressing of going up and falling back and going up and falling back. 2 steps forward, 1 steps back, and just doing that endlessly until you get to the end, which is basically the plot of Lost, except, intentional, and you knew what you were going to do more than the last 5 seconds where you had to end the plot. I didn't realize I was still enraged about that. Oh, wow. I'd say it's spoilers, but no one should actually watch that point.
Heaven, the circle of the fixed stars. So, time for an astronomy lesson. The fixed stars are an antiquated concept that defined the celestial bodies that didn't seem to move in relation to each other.
Oh, this is the previous one where we didn't realize they were stars. They were just points of light that they believed were there and kind of a constant. And there was also some of the thoughts that it was all the plane of stars. Not even like, a plane as we would think about as just a force, or how everyone kind of orients within the galaxy or the solar system, a kind of a level field with things derivating from it at different angles, but an actual physical thing that the stars are embedded into. People thought it was basically a sheet in the sky sometimes, but that's really old and was very wrong.
The things that did move, namely the planets and your occasional asteroid, were designated as wandering stars. The fixed stars were supposedly on the inside of a giant celestial sphere with the Earth at its center, and in fact, they served as the outermost layer of the geocentric model of the solar system.
I mean, this is going to sound weird, but while this is wrong, it's not entirely wrong. You just have to shrink all of the planets down to basically fit within what they say is the Earth, and that's the inner and outer solar systems. And then proportionally, this is still a very exaggerated size of the Earth and everything in the inner solar system and outer solar system compared to everything in the heliopause, or the light of the sun reaches so far, and then the particles cast off by the sun and photons the photons keep going, but the particles stop and create a cloud around the Earth, or the Earth sphere. I guess it's the solar sphere at this point. Heliopause is a mouthful. Granted, that's basically just saying light stop. Yeah, whatever. So it's not completely correct, but when you zoom out far enough, it starts to look right again. And it's funny because while it's not stars that are around it, it's not a container, it's not wrong. It's just wrong adjacent. Right? No, actually, it's very much wrong. It's right adjacent. If you zoom out and squint really hard, and if you're going, contextually the correct size, you couldn't tell where any single planet was when you get to the actual planets themselves because they're so close to the sun. No one could tell the difference. Sorry. When you look at the Kuiper Belt and how that's a small part, and then you get to the outer stars, that and some of the theoretical planets that may or may not exist in the Kuiper Belt, it's wrong, but there's things we have found out that actually seem to align with this model, not because this model is right, but because it accidentally happened to have things that looked similar to the right answer. And even then, it's just fascinating. It's wrong, but it's wrong adjacent to being right. It's kind of like the people who made the incredibly detailed but incorrect models to show how everything's a perfect circle if you really screw with the numbers. Yeah.
So anyway, Dante climbs a ladder into space.
Science.
This sphere is just full of saints because it's basically for the holiest of holy dudes just short of Jesus. One of the dudes here.
Wait, wasn't he already in an earlier sphere, though? And he just goes, my eyes. Apparently, I'm kind of a big deal. God.
One of the dudes here, St. Peter as it turns out, fooshes around Beatrice a few times and then starts arguing with Dante over what faith is. Dante's like...
Did they just show St. Peter side-eyeing a girl? Yeah, I think Dante just wrote St. Peter up checking out Beatrice. I was going to say St. Beatrice, but yeah, Beatrice. Kinky.
Well, see, faith is when you hope something will happen even though you have no evidence to support it. And St. Peter's like, awesome, and poofs off. And St. James asks him what hope is, and Dante's like, oh, hope is an expectation of good stuff that God gives you if you're good. And St. James is like, great, and poofs off. But then, horror of horrors, Beatrice vanishes. Or maybe
no
Dante's
dead girlfriend.
Gone blind from all the lens flare. Actually,
it probably is literally that. Wait, you're such a dork.
That turns out to be exactly
Seriously?
what happened. So Dante's blind, and then...
So he's actually blind, so he can't actually see heaven any further. Have you turned invisible? No, you've just turned stupider. Oh my God.
And then St. John shows up and asks him to explain love, and Dante's like, well, it's...
Red. You just... Explanations are fun. And she just put herself with the shit-eating grin. She just needed... She was waiting for this moment, wasn't she? Just to put that little song excerpt in.
And that's why gardens are just the best. Then Beatrice cures Dante's blindness by, wait for it, shining some really bright light into his eyes.
I mean, this is how I cure everyone's blindness. More blindness! The best way ever. I don't know what's happening, but my eyes really hurt. Yeah.
Utter BS or the first recorded instance of LASIK eye surgery? We'll never know. Anyway, now that Dante can see again, he notices a really bright light. And Beatrice is like, yeah, that's Adam, as in Adam and Eve. Let's go say hello. So they go over.
Wouldn't they have been not allowed in due to the entire creating sin part? Eh.
And Adam's like, let me stop you right there because I know what you're about to ask me. Before you ask about all that, it's because I'm literally psychic. God wasn't mad because I ate the fruit. He was mad because I broke the rules. I was in Eden for all of 7 hours. It's been 6,498 years since I got kicked out. And the language I spoke is long dead because 6,000 years have passed. You really get the impression that Adam has heard it all before and he's like one of those really jaded celebrities who just does not have time for his fans anymore.
I wonder at what point this was actually Dante just going, you know what? I'm tired of this book. I want to end it. And even though we're meeting all these crazy people, he's like, oh, this is great. I just want to skip past it. So I'm making a guy who's psychic who doesn't need to deal with all of the talking I just taught to write out. I'm not entirely sure I'm wrong about that, actually.
Anyway, so Dante, the writer, not his self-insert, takes a minute to take a dump on the current pope. So the 5 souls he's talked to so far, Beatrice, St. Peter, St. James, St. John, and Adam, all start glowing really brightly, and then, shock, St. Peter turns red. This is apparently because on Earth, Pope Boniface is apparently just doing an awful job at being pope. It's so bad that God himself is bummed, and the entire rest of heaven turns red as a result. Talk about theatrical.
Dun dun.
Theatrics, St. Peter is so incensed by all this corrupt papacy that he starts ranting about evil popes and orders Dante to write about how terrible.
Take notes, yes sir. And even Beatrice is now glowing red. Oh wow. Before it was always like just hints and jabs at all the horrible things. This one, it's pretty on the nose.
They are, so everybody knows. So anyway, Dante looks back at Earth, and his newly unblinded eyes let him see it in insane detail. He even sees the route Odysseus took during the Odyssey and the island of Crete, which is impressive because Crete is tiny, even by island standards. And Beatrice has once again become even more beautiful. As it turns out, this is because they're getting closer to the Primum Mobile, the last physical circle of heaven and the realm of the angels. So Dante sees a really bright light, shocked.
Let me get this straight. He saw a bright light. You could probably sum up the entire book with Dante sees bright light. I can see why people don't usually get to this one. This is stupid.
Which is orbited by 9 rings of light. The smallest ring has the purest light, which Dante thinks is because it's closest to the other light. There was a whole lot of light in that sentence. Incidentally, the light at the center of that is the 10th circle of heaven.
Bonus level.
Anyway, Beatrice is like, yeah, that ring is spinning fastest because it's the holiest and closest to God, and it's spurred on by love. And Dante's like, yeah, that's cool and all, but doesn't that imply that the Earth would be the holiest of all the heavenly circles because it's smallest? And Beatrice is like, no, see, because in this universe, the better something is, the bigger it is. Anyway, the 9 rings are represented.
Did she just put it in what I think she did? Lol. Yeah, she put a lol face in. Oh my god, I don't even... We have now seen Red go on the record saying bigger is better.
Anyway, the 9 rings are representative of the angelic hierarchy, which is pretty fascinating all on its own, so here's how that goes. The smallest ring and the top tier of the angels are the seraphim. Seraphim literally translates to burning one, and they're traditionally represented with 3 sets of wings. Confusingly, seraph is also sometimes used in the Bible to refer to snakes. Man, the Bible just cannot be asked to keep its terminology straight.
Oh, that's
this is
weird.
that Satan mess all over again. The second ring are the cherubim.
Wait, Satan actually was a translation for the word adversary? Oh, I actually wasn't aware of that.
And let me stop you right there, because you just thought of a pudgy little baby with wings and a trumpet, and boy, are you wrong.
Wrong. Oh, okay. Wow, that is a thing.
Are 4-faced monstrosities with 4 wings covered in eyeballs, which sounds less like some.
Glorious greetings on this day of love, mortal. Yeah, if that's what came out as part of Valentine's Day, I think people would have a very different reaction. It would be Halloween all over again.
That'd decorate a Valentine's Day card and more like a boss in Dark Souls. That baby thing.
I've got more Bloodborne, but yeah, basically.
You thought of is actually called a puto, by the way. The
What?
third ring are
Oh, it actually has a
thrones,
name?
which
I thought it was just fully made up.
bizarre, even by heaven standards. They're wheels, specifically 2 wheels, one nested inside the other, and they're also covered in eyeballs for some reason. Also, I think they're on fire. The 4th ring are the dominion.
Oh, flaming eye rings. It just gets creepier, man. I swear it's like we're doing the hell thing all over
They're
again.
divinely beautiful dudes with big feathery wings. The 5th ring are the virtues, which I couldn't find a description for, but apparently they glow. Shocker, right? The 6th ring are the powers, which are warrior angels. The 7th ring are the principalities, which are traditionalish angels. They carry scepters and wear crowns because they're basically rulers of certain groups of people, and it's kind of confusing. So next, the 8th ring are the archangels, and I want you to do me a favor and forget everything you think you know about archangels, because they are much less cool than you think they are. Archangels are just slightly better than plain vanilla angels, and angels are just messengers. They're the highest class of angel, but not the highest class of angel. You know what? Forget it. And then the 9th ring are just...
Oh, so it's an angel with the name Angel in the name. I hate everything about that sentence, especially because technically it's accurate.
your standard plain vanilla angels. Next up, it's time for a history lesson. Beatrice tells Dante that in the beginning, God made form and matter, and also a combination of the two, in a big flash of light, and that's how...
But how is form not matter? Because matter is the form. And that... What? This is just someone who doesn't understand physics because it wasn't really codified nearly to the same way, and it was also very much wrong based on the science of the time.
We created the universe. Almost immediately thereafter, Lucifer took it into his head to rebel, and as a result was cast down to the lowermost bundle
Boink.
of the universe, Earth. After all that mess was taken care of, the rest of the angels started spinning around God in these 9 concentric rings, and they haven't stopped since. And now it's on to the 10th.
Just keep spinning, just keep spinning. I'm sorry, I had to say it. I had no way to stop. It was consensual, but also completely, utterly necessary.
Sphere, the
Bonus level?
Airier. This is where it starts getting weird, because here's where we
Oh, it's getting weird now? I'm pretty sure we had giant circle wheels of flaming eyes, so yeah.
transcend the physical universe and get a look at the face of God. First off, the Empyrean is described as a heaven of pure light, unlike all those other heavens which
We're
are
just
really
mostly
bright all
light.
the time. Anyway, the first thing Dante runs into is a river of light, which Beatrice tells him to drink from. He takes a
What?
swig, and that's when stuff gets really weird. So basically, this
I'm pretty sure I've seen that illustration when people talk about certain substances that are not allowed to be talked about on YouTube.
magic glowy water lets him see the Empyrean for what it truly is, and it's possibly the weirdest thing ever. First of all, the river goes from straight to round, and all the glowy flowers and gems around it turned into a bunch of angels and saints. Dante also notices a bright light high above him, as well as an enormous rose for some reason.
That's
the
a
rose
rose?
is full of the souls who were so righteous and awesome that they get to chillax right next to God. There's a seat reserved especially for King Henry VII, not the one who ended the War of the Roses, the German one who was Holy Roman Emperor for like a year, because Dante
Dystopian
believes he was going to
mofo.
unite Italy or something. This didn't end up happening. Gotta wonder if they kept his seat.
Oh my god. What did it say? No, what did it actually say? You have failed me! Yeah, it did not work out.
Gotta wonder if they...
Reserved for Free to a good soul, inquire above.
Kept his seat open. Anyway, there are a whole bunch of angels flying around the rose, distributing love all over it like bees.
All you need is love. Bless. Wait, no, bees. Bees? I have to be misunderstanding this
Kept
one.
his seat open. Anyway, there are a whole bunch of angels flying around the rose, distributing love all over it like bees pollinating a flower. That's
like-
not my metaphor, by the way.
You can't blame me for Dante's capacity metaphor. That was the metaphor used in the actual book. Oh boy, that was that's a thing.
By the way, so Dante's very impressed, and he goes to talk to Beatrice about it
Pretty.
when, shock, Beatrice is gone, and it's not
Is
because
it-
he's gone
Oh,
blind again.
she's
been
actually gone now?
replaced by some old guy. So
Ah, yeah.
Dante channels his inner Batman and goes all, "Where is she?" And the old guy's like, "Whoa, hey, chill out, dude. Have you tried looking up?" So yeah, Beatrice totally ditched Dante
Bye,
to go chill
Dante.
in Celestial Rose. Remind me again why Dante liked her so much? Anyway,
Harsh,
the
bro.
old guy in question is Saint Bernard, who for the purposes of this review will be represented as a dog, and he points out some of the dudes
Okay, admittedly, suddenly he improved significantly. Oh, 2 colored eyes. And up there we have the Virgin Mary. Ooh.
chilling on the rose, which
Hi,
includes
Grandma.
an alarming number of children. Bernard explains that before the Big J was born, all kids were guaranteed a spot in heaven. But after he was born, they had to be baptized and, if male, circumcised, or they'd get tossed into limbo, which,
That seems worse. Also, I'm pretty sure theologically it was the exact opposite.
just a reminder, is in hell. Yeah, thanks, Jesus. But Dante's running out of pages, so it's time to meet God face to face. But this part is so bright
Blinding.
that Dante can't properly remember
Bear with me on this one. He's just not even hiding it.
it, which might explain why it's so weird.
Does
So
he have a
first
blank
off,
page?
I want you to imagine God for me. Get a really clear image in your head of what you think
Morgan Freeman, the Sistine Chapel, and Haruhi Suzumiya. Yeah, the joke was she's basically God.
the big guy looks like. You got it?
Oh, South Park. Yeah, that weird thing was God.
Great, you're wrong. God is, in fact, 3 glowing circles occupying the same space, one each for the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So that incidentally means that
What?
one of the glowy rings is, in fact, Jesus, just like everything else in this book. Oh, but we're not
Everything's
done
Jesus.
yet. In case you're not confused enough already, at the center of those rings is a book, and it's bound by love. So yeah, God is also a book. It's just got like 4 dimensions of meta. There are also rainbows, because of course there are. So in conclusion, God is a circle full of book and rainbows. Wait one sec.
I'm pretty sure that's a flag. At this point, it might as well be.
Are you telling me God is a reading rainbow?
Yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing. I missed that story.
Oh my
That's
god, my
right.
childhood just got so much more theologically significant.
It's done. I'm done. I'm free. And that was reading rape. The Paradiso, because everything about this was weird. Not just to mention that we knew Dante would be going full on, hey, this is why these people are bad, because I don't like them. And that I expected. The part where God is reading Rainbow, that's just beautiful, man. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. And I love it. This is so weird. You can sum up the entire thing as Dante saw the light, which is probably the exact metaphor Dante was thinking of when he wrote this. Huh. Yeah, it makes more sense that way. Still, though, it's ridiculous. I don't get what's going on. And everything is just basically about this girl using him as the, I guess, Uber to get to the highest level of heaven. Granted, she was already there probably, but details, I don't even care. This is funny, man. I like it. I like seeing what's going on, and I am so glad I checked this out rather than reading the book, because I would have got so very annoyed so very fast. More importantly, I technically have forgot that I was going to do a stream today, and it needs to go start now, and I forgot to do that. That's on me. So I'm going to go do that. More importantly, you guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video, and if you know what I should check out from OVS, why was I going to say OVS? Overly Sarcastic Productions next, let me know, and I'll see you then. Adios. Oh, link? Did I mention the link? I think I mentioned the link. I did? Good. Now I'll see you later. Adios.